The following podcast is an enticing media production.
Where the Nell have you been? Join us for conversation about life, business, and everything in between. Welcome to What the Nell, where we've got stories to tell. Here's your host, Nell Tice.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another brand new episode of the What the Nell podcast with yours truly, Nell Tice. I know I always say I'm super excited for guests. I am always excited for guests because they truly have so much value to bring to you on these episodes. And today, these two offer no less. So my guest today, my first guest is Dianne Cunningham, who is a transformational speaker, coach, Amazon #1 bestselling author, and co-founder of You Transform 360. With humility, wisdom, and genuine care, she empowers others to live purpose-driven lives and unlock their hidden potential. My next guest is Olga Kaminer. Did I say that correctly?
Kaminer, but that's okay. Both names are
Kaminer,
fine.
thank you. I always forget to ask the guests how to pronounce it. So it's this like game back and forth. But anyway, she is also a transformational coach, author, and co-founder of You Transform 360. She guides individuals to uncover their purpose and step into their highest potential. After spending over a decade as a college professor, she now empowers others through coaching, retreats, speaker platforms, and helping them embrace self-discovery, personal growth, and meaningful transformation. And today we are going to talk all about entrepreneurship and turning your passion into purpose. First, I'd like to welcome you ladies both to the podcast. So welcome, Dianne and Olga.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much, Nell, and it's an honor to be here.
You're so welcome. You know, turning passion into purpose. What exactly does that mean? How do we start? Let's just dive right in. What does that even mean, turning passion into purpose?
But I could start, Olga.
Yep.
For me, what that means is, someone will always ask you, what do you want? And, we think about that question. It's a deep question because oftentimes we don't really think about what do we want?
Mm-hmm.
And when I got to the point in my life where it came down to retirement age, and I was planning for my retirement, after 29 years working for New York City Transit, I realized, and I loved that job. I really did, because I think I brought a lot of value to the job.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, I can't stay there for the rest of my life. There's things that I love to do. And so it's like, okay, what next? But no one really took the time to say, this is how you transition to this next chapter. So I felt a bit stuck, okay, because it's like, I don't want to sit home and do nothing. There's stuff that I want to do, and I realized when I started asking myself that question, who am I? Why am I here? I realized that the things that I was doing throughout my career, my 29 years career, and maybe even before, was things that I always love to support people. I love to really help people, see people grow. So I started thinking about that even more and on a deeper level. I loved, during the holidays, I loved to feed the homeless. I would cook. I mean, I could cater the food, but I enjoyed cooking the food and really engaging others to join in, because I know a lot of people want to do stuff, but they don't know what to do. So I would say, this is what I'm doing. Do you want to be a part of it? You can bring over canned goods or whatever you want to bring, or socks. It's always good to have socks and undershirts.
Sure.
And they would always support in such a great way. So then I realized that as I think more about that question, I went to my first retreat. And I was thinking even more about it. And this was in Mexico at a resort on the beach. And in the morning time, looking at that the sunrise. I got to tell you, Mexico has the best sunrises. And no sunrise is the same. No. But then as I was thinking more about why am I here, I realized I'm here to help people find their purpose. So, because I found mine, I realized that my purpose is to help others find their genius within. Because I know my genius was really to support and to really ask the questions and answer the questions that I had to answer. Who am I? Why am I here?
That's
So
such a
it
good question.
was really that was really a great eye opener for me.
Yeah.
And I really loved it.
Yeah. And Olga, what does turning your passion into purpose mean to you?
So I'm a true believer that we come to this earth for something. We have a mission. And it's up to us to actually uncover that mission. And I was also, just like Dianne, I always wanted to help people. I didn't know in what capacity, how, what, when. I had no idea, but I wanted to help. And of course, it started small with helping my friends, helping my family, being everywhere and all the time for everybody, but not for myself, which was actually costing me, of course, because you have to take care of yourself. But then I also wanted to be a teacher because, helping others means maybe teaching something and then helping others to learn new skills and everything else. So I was a teacher. I loved my job as well. Many, many years, best universities, colleges. And then I said, no, something is missing here. It's not that. It's still not that. I wasn't living my passion. So what I started doing moments of enlightenment with my students. Every single class, I would allocate 5 to 10 minutes to talk about topics that matter, and nobody teaches you about these ones unless you go to some self-development gurus. So I was talking about living your passion. I was talking about forgiveness. I was talking about small acts of kindness, stuff like that, like very simple to apprehend, but something that can have huge results if you actually implement that. And I was getting great feedback from my students that were saying, listen, you're the only one who is doing that. And that's the thing that I needed to hear today. That was perfect for me to hear that today and they would tell me their stories. So I said, okay, so maybe this is how I implement my passion, right? Yeah. So what do I do on a bigger scale now? And then during my first retreat, just like Dianne said, we met there at our very first retreat in Mexico. And we were thinking about who am I, why I am here, what's my purpose. And bit by bit, right? It's not going to come right away. Maybe you will get a download and you'll be lucky. But sometimes it comes in bits of information that you have to process somehow and then act on it. That's the most important thing, right? Act on it. Sure. So that's exactly what we did. We founded You Transform 360. And we were thinking about our name for a long time as well. So we said, why is it 360? Because it covers all aspects of your life, everything.
Right. Amazing.
And that's how we want to implement our passion into helping others to actually find out their passion.
I love that. And so there's something that comes to mind while you both were speaking about this is, the question, who am I? What am I passionate about? I see so many, and especially women. I mean, this affects so many women, mothers, wives, and women especially focus on other people before themselves. And I feel like a lot of women that I know would feel so inclined to say, when people would ask them the question, what do I want? They would answer in, oh, I want success for my daughters or my sons, or, oh, I'm a mother first. Like, that's who I am. What would you say to someone, especially a woman, that answers that way and isn't necessarily looking at themselves? How would you encourage them to focus on themselves for a moment to answer that question?
Okay. You want me to go?
Yeah, they will go and then I will answer as well.
So women who is in that situation, and oftentimes we look to find fulfillment because society has taught us you got to take care of the kids, you got to take care of your family, you got to take care, you got to be you got to be who they want you to be,
Right.
and not who you really choose to be. So really, when you dig deep and ask yourself that question, you start peeling back the onion, you realize to really fully actualize and serve others in 100%, you have to be fulfilled first. Okay, so
Yeah.
it makes so much sense, because my mother, she always wanted to be a nurse, and she worked in the medical field, but she never became a nurse. So she tried to tell me, maybe you need to be a nurse. And I'm like, I can't stand blood, so I won't be a nurse. But you know what's so funny? My daughter is studying to be a nurse.
Oh, that's
So,
interesting.
so these are the things that, but at the end of the day, we have to figure out, what do we want first? Who are we? Why were we put here? Because we all put here for a reason. And for my reason, I could really fully self-actualize and be the best person I can be when I really live on purpose.
Mhm.
So I really say to that woman, you know, it's good to really take care of the other family, take care of everyone else, but at the end of the day, who are you without them?
That's a really valid question. That is such a valid question. It's the theory, the airplane mask theory. You have to put your mask on before you help others, and it's so true. Olga, would you agree? How would you approach someone that is struggling to answer that question?
I totally agree with what Diane said and putting the mask first, right? That I wrote my book, Self Love Magic, because it was so personal to me. As I said, I was doing so much for everybody. I wouldn't sleep at all. Like, I had my third baby on my hands, and then people would come to me in the middle of the night and I would help them. So I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't taking care of myself at all. And it takes toll on yourself, right? It takes toll. You can feel it on your physical level, if not emotional too. Now, it's better for you to feed others from overflowing cup, not from an empty cup. So if you take care of yourself, and I'm not saying that you have to be selfish, just
Right.
forget about everybody, just take care of yourself. No, that's not what I'm saying, right? But you have to have balance, taking care of others and taking care of yourself. That's as important, if not more, right? And again, it doesn't have to take 24/7, right? You can do it in 5 to 10 minutes a day, wherever it is. Taking a hot bath, just closing the door and taking a hot bath without kids running around and saying, Mom, give me this, give me that. No, without that, just close the door, shut it. Or meditating for 5 minutes, reading a book, but something for yourself. Simple acts that will help your mental and physical body.
Yes, yes. My next question was going to be, what are some ways that people can start to think for themselves and think about how they can transform? And meditation, taking a bath, those are great ways. But what are some other ways that people can start to focus on transforming themselves and then work their way into your program, basically?
That's a great question, Nell. And for me, what works is journaling.
Oh,
I putting stuff down on paper, because we keep so much in our heads, but then it turns into a fog. There's no
yeah.
clarity there, So putting it, emptying that out, putting it on paper, even in the middle of the night, sometimes I will get up, even though I have a notepad on my nightstand. I also have a napkin. I'll get up in the morning, I will have stuff written down on the napkin because
But here's the question. Do you remember writing it down?
yeah, I will.
Oh, good. Okay.
It's intentional. But
Yeah.
for some reason, I wouldn't go to the journal. I would go to the napkin. And I'm thinking now that I'm talking to you, maybe I didn't go to the journal because I was still fleshing it out.
Oh, that's a
So I
good.
put it on the napkin to say, well, okay, let me get a chance to really think about this.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, pause and breathe, before I put it in the journal, and I love to get up early. And sometimes we have to be quite intentional about what we want for ourselves. And
Mhm.
even if that means getting up before the household, before the world gets up,
Mm-hmm.
you can get up at 15 minutes early.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I incorporated, my time was 5:30 to get up.
Mm-hmm.
And I started doing meditation. So I said, okay, during the day, I don't want to get busy. So I moved my time to 5 a.m. So I get up at 5 so I can incorporate meditation.
Good for
Okay,
you.
so
Yeah.
sometimes we have to be intentional, and it takes commitment, because if you don't commit to it, or you have a goal and you don't really pay attention to have a plan, it's just a wish. So in committing to your life plan, because it is your life plan, and nobody can do it the way you can do it, is to committing to self, I think, is what works for me. And journaling, I love to journal.
Yeah. It's really cool. That's a really cool process. And it almost sounds like you do like the pre-journal to the journal, which is super cool. I've heard that about people keeping napkins beside your bed. That's a really great thing to do. And I think maybe people don't think about often enough. And just the simple act of, because the most common response when you ask someone, you know, what can you do for you during the day? And someone says, I don't have time. The most simple thing you can do is commit, be intentional, and wake up 15 minutes early. I mean, it's like mind blowing how simple that is, yet so unthought of and really hard to do and commit to and stay consistent with too. But Olga, what is a way that you would suggest beginning to make this transformation into finding your purpose?
I would say, in our era of technology, when we are addicted to our computers, phones, iPads, whatever it is, just shut everything off for like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever time is allowed.
Yeah.
And use journaling or just go and walk in nature. When you are one with nature, lots of good stuff can come, but without distractions, right? So try to do it without distractions. If you're going on a walk with your kids, it's not going to count sometimes because they can be loud and very distracting, right? But
Yeah.
just 10 minutes. We had a speaker on our platform, and she said the first half an hour of a day she always spends on herself walking in nature.
Yeah.
So the first thing that when you wake up, she's not going to get to her phone and start checking all the messages that came throughout the night. No, she's going to focus first, make her intention for the day, make the affirmation for the day, walk in nature, get that energy up, and then she will continue on with her day, which is amazing, right? Because that first, whatever time you have in the morning is the most important. And also at night, when you go to sleep, it's actually better to have some time to meditate or to read a book, but spend it quietly, not watching TV or, watching some reels that we like.
Guilty as charged.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I have to say that was something that I attempted to commit to this year. Was the first few minutes after I wake up, I'm not looking at my phone. I am going to do something for me, whether that be meditating or even just making a cup of coffee, and right before I go to bed as well. And I will say I'm not perfect. I failed at that. I absolutely failed at that. And because it is such a commitment, it's such a routine that we find ourselves in. And we all know, if you ever read Atomic Habits, it takes 21 days to actually create habits and routine. So, I mean, kudos to you, first of all, for making that commitment, if that's what you're doing. Now, let's say you have somebody that has committed to doing these things and they are coming into your program. What can they expect?
When they come into our program, great question also, because we're all about community and supporting each other. So whatever that goal or that dream is, we're going to meet, because normally we'll meet once every 2 weeks, and on smaller groups, because we have like accountability partners.
Okay.
So we do have a full mastermind group where we meet once a month.
Okay.
And we have smaller pods of 3 where we will meet And now I think we're up to 4 because we had to adjust the
Yes.
numbers. So we will meet once every 2 weeks. But we're holding each other accountable. And it's okay if you mess up. It's okay. You know, you forgive yourself. You know, there's no judgment. And because we always go back to the fact that how much we can be grateful for the opportunity to have each other to support us. You know, and somebody might reach out and say, you know, I'm having this issue, you know, I need to just talk about something. Are you available? And it's going to be, we're going to say yes, because we want to see each other win. There's nothing like seeing somebody else win. And I think that's what we're really passionate about. Is really, and to say, you know, thank you for listening. Because sometimes they don't want the answer. They just want somebody to listen, you know, and to be able to be there for someone to say, I'm here for you. Oftentimes with Olga and I, we're here for each other, you know? So it's really special to say, yes, we're here as a team. You don't have to worry because you're not going to be left alone. You know, I have friends who sometimes maybe for months I haven't reached out. And I would just say, I'm thinking of you. And the answer will come back, thank you so much. I'm so glad you're thinking of me. People just want to know that they're being loved.
That's true.
That's part of sharing that love.
That's true. Yeah. How do you help entrepreneurs specifically with transformation in their lives? Because it's a, you know, just as an entrepreneur, it's a whole level of fears and doubts and everything. So how do you help entrepreneurs specifically?
So let me start. First, I will expand something on on what Dianne said, because oftentimes when we go into entrepreneurship, our friends and family do not support us. Absolutely not.
100%.
And until this day, I get discouraged every single day by my family. They say, you have to find a job, J-O-B, that pays your bills, you have benefits, that's what you have to do. You have kids, you have responsibilities. What you're doing is nothing. It's not going to bring you money. And I have to listen to that every single day.
Yeah.
So the power of community is huge in that, because when I hear all that stuff from my family, I call Dianne and she tells me, come on, you know where you're going. You know what we are building here. And I do, right? And that's exactly
so
what
beautiful.
we are doing for our clients. And then what's the most scariest thing out there is making that first step. They're thinking, okay, so I have that idea. How do I bring it to life? And we can help them. We are going to bring that down to small steps that they take every single day, every single week. Just like you said, atomic habits, right? Forming these small habits day by day. And that's why we have these accountability circles that every 2 weeks they're going to say, okay, so these 2 weeks, I said that I was going to do A, B, and C. I did B and C, but I'm struggling on A. Help me. And your accountability partners are going to help you if they know the answer. If they don't, we will take the same issue into the big group, right? Or they can post in the chat, because the chat is always open, the chat is always live, and we are always going to answer them. And then they're going to see, okay, kudos to me, I am already here. I made that first step. So what's my next step? And they're going to commit for the next 2 weeks. And their accountability partners are going to say, okay, so how are you doing? Do you have any troubles? Do you need any help? And that's how they're going to reach the final goal. And we celebrate every single small win.
I love that.
Because it's huge. Even if you shut off your phone for 10 minutes before your sleep, it's a huge win for you, right? And mistakes can happen, right? Everything can happen, just like you said, Nell. We are not perfect. None of us is perfect. And when we are forming our habits, it's, I cannot say never, but most of the times they're not going to stick 100%. So it's all about consistency. And that's exactly what we teach our entrepreneurs.
That is I mean, I would honestly say that's probably one of the biggest things that an entrepreneur would need assistance with is the community aspect. When you said that friends and family are likely at some point not going to support what you're doing, and you hear these things every day, that wears on you. And I think entrepreneurs especially, we always have to feel like we have to put on this front, like we're never suffering, we're in charge, we're the expert, and we're never allowed to fail. We can't show that side of ourselves that's absolutely being destroyed by people close to us that we depended on for that support. So that's amazing. I think that is so important. So kudos to you both for being that support and community for entrepreneurs and people alike, to provide that. So how can people connect with you? What do you offer? Like, where do you suggest people start when they're inquiring about your program?
Olga, I'm gonna let you start on that one.
Okay, so we have we have an ebook, 10 steps to connection and reflection. And you can download that by going to ascendyourpath.com/10 steps. And then you can also attend our bi-weekly speaker summits. What that is every 2 weeks on Saturdays from 10 to 12 Eastern time in the morning. We hold these summits where 3 speakers come and share their golden nuggets. And every time, of course, it's a different theme, different speakers, and you never know what you're going to miss if you don't come, because in one of these speaker summits, we actually had the queen of peach, Dr. Forbes Riley. She came
Gosh.
taught us about pitching, yes. And, we had so many people, so many positive feedbacks, of course, right? Mm-hmm. And even if Dr. Forbes is not there, every single time we ask our audience, so what did you get from that particular summit? And they tell us stories, because again, it's different speakers, different perspectives, different topics. Sometimes it's health, sometimes it's your soul, sometimes it's finances, whatever it is, but you can always find something for you. And if you would like to register for this one, it's just ascendyourpath.com.
Okay.
And you will find the information about our upcoming event.
Awesome. Amazing. You both have really brought some value and showed that you are truly living your passions for purpose. And the fact that you both have discovered your purpose aligns so similarly is awesome, because we all know that even greater things happen in collaborative spaces. So I applaud you. Keep doing what you're doing. For people to connect with you both individually, how can they find you?
You transform 360. That easy.
Yes.
You transform 360, and it leads you. That's our main website. So,
okay.
We do a lot of other things. We have the Speaker Summit, which is also a passion project, and we also do book publishing. So we got so much now. We do book publishing. We do retreats. And retreats is really our heart and our soul, because we understand how that could transform lives. But also, we're lifelong learners. Mm-hmm. We stay learning, and we invest in ourselves, because it's an investment. And as we learn, we bring it back to the community. Mm-hmm. So the plan is to do more workshops. I was just talking to Olga about doing a workshop on leadership.
That is so needed.
It really breaks my heart, because a lot of time people just, you know the skills for the job, but how do you lead? Yeah. Okay. And with leadership, you have mentorship with that, because they're going to be the future leaders. Mm-hmm. So yes, we also look at projects to really, and free,
Oh my gosh.
Just to enlighten others, to say, listen, rising tide raises all ships. So let's come together. What are your needs? Let's help fill your need. Okay. And it works.
Yeah, obviously it does. That's amazing. I really, really encourage anybody out there listening or watching this to connect with Dianne and Olga. I really, really think that, you guys, what you've got going on is so necessary. And I just want as many people to know about what you're doing as possible. So all of the information that you have provided, where to get a hold of you and how to register and things like that, will also be in the show notes to this episode. So I appreciate you both. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Did I, in our meet and greet call, did you say this was your first podcast?
Yes.
That's incredible. Like, you guys, well done.
Thank you.
That's amazing. And, speaking about accountability and community. So, if I know of anybody else that has a podcast that you would be a great fit for, I'm happy to connect you with them. And likewise. So to everyone watching and listening, thank you so much. Truly hope that you got value out of this episode. If you are watching this video on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel, like this video. If you are listening on your favorite audio platform, don't forget to like the show, subscribe, and also leave us a review. That's how we grow. And we would welcome your feedback implicitly. So thank you all so much for an awesome episode. And as always, I will catch you on the next one.
To learn more about how to tell your story, connect with Nell at enticingmedia.com. That's ENTICEING media.com. Thanks for listening to the What the Nell podcast.